Okay, so here's something that nobody really talks about, but it's happening in millions of homes right now across America. Somebody's mom is sitting on the couch. Dinner's ready. She grabs the armrest, pushes, rocks forward a little, and nothing. She can't get up. She tries again. Maybe she grabs the coffee table. Maybe she calls out to somebody in the next room. Or maybe, and this is the part that breaks our hearts, she just sits there and waits because she's embarrassed to ask for help. Again, if that sounds familiar to you, keep watching, because this video is specifically for that moment, not exercise for seniors in some general way, not a workout video with background music and a trainer in spandex. This is about one thing: getting the ability to stand up from a low chair back, on your own, without grabbing anything, within 30 days. And no, you don't need any equipment, not a single thing, just a chair, which you obviously already have. Let's get into it. But first, why is this happening? Like, what actually changed? Because here's what's confusing for a lot of people. 5 years ago, maybe even 2 years ago, getting up from the couch was nothing. Didn't even think about it. Now suddenly it's this whole event. And that's terrifying because it feels like it came out of nowhere. It didn't come out of nowhere. Here's what actually happened. There are 4 muscles that do most of the work when somebody stands up. The quads, those are the big ones on the front of the thighs. The glutes, that's the butt muscles. And yeah, we're going to talk about butt muscles in this video because they matter more than almost anything else for standing up. The core, not six-pack abs, just the basic muscles around the midsection that keep the body stable. And the calves, the ones in the lower leg that help with that final push to get fully upright. When somebody's younger, all 4 of these muscle groups are strong enough that standing up is automatic. The brain sends the signal and the body just does it. No thought required. But after about 60, something sneaky starts happening. Muscle mass decreases by roughly 3 to 5% every decade. Doesn't sound like much. But here's the problem. It doesn't decrease evenly. The quads and glutes get hit the hardest because those are the muscles people use less and less as they become more sedentary. Sitting more, walking less, driving instead of walking, elevator instead of stairs. And it's a spiral. The weaker the legs get, the harder it is to stand up. The harder it is to stand up, the less the person moves. The less they move, the weaker the legs get. And so on. There's actually a name for this. Doctors call it sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. And the sit-to-stand test is literally one of the ways doctors measure it. In fact, there was a study published in the European Journal of Preventive Medicine that found something pretty startling. How easily a person can get up from a seated position is actually a predictor of how long they'll live. Not the only predictor, obviously, but a real one. So this isn't just about convenience. This isn't just about not wanting to ask your grandson to pull you up off the sofa. This is about independence. This is about whether somebody can use the bathroom by themselves, get out of a car by themselves, sit down at church, and stand back up by themselves. That's what we're really talking about here. All right, so here's the plan. And we want to be upfront about how this is structured, because we spent a really long time figuring out the right way to lay this out. Most exercise videos for seniors make the same mistake. They show you 5 moves and say, do these every day. And that works for about 4 days. Then people either get bored or they get sore, or they don't see results fast enough and they quit. This plan is different because it's broken into 4 weeks, and each week is designed to build on the one before it. Week 1 is embarrassingly easy, on purpose. Week 2 adds a little bit. Week 3 is where people usually start noticing real changes. Week 4 is where it all comes together. The whole thing takes about 8 to 10 minutes a day. That's it. Not 30 minutes, not an hour. 8 minutes. Because honestly, the research pretty consistently shows that for seniors who are starting from a deconditioned state, short daily sessions beat long occasional ones by a mile. Okay, week 1. This is what we call the wake-up week. The goal here isn't to build strength yet. It's to wake up muscles that have basically been asleep. For some people, these muscles haven't really been asked to do serious work in years. So we start gentle. There are 3 exercises in week 1. That's it. 3. Exercise 1. Seated marching. Just sitting in a chair, lifting one knee at a time, like a slow march. Doesn't sound like much, right? But for somebody whose hip flexors and quads have been dormant, even this is going to create some sensation. The key is to sit up tall, not slump back into the chair, and lift each knee high enough that the foot comes a few inches off the floor. 15 marches per leg, twice a day, morning and evening. Exercise 2. Seated heel raises. Still sitting in the chair, feet flat on the floor. Now just push up onto the toes, lifting the heels as high as they go. Hold for 2 seconds. Lower back down. This wakes up the calves and starts building that push-off strength that matters so much in the final stage of standing up. 20 reps, twice a day. Exercise 3, and this is the sneaky important one, the seated squeeze. Sit in the chair with feet flat. Now squeeze the butt muscles. Like, actually clench them. Hold for 5 seconds, release. That's 1 rep. Do 10. We know it sounds ridiculous, squeezing your butt while sitting in a chair watching TV. But this is the exercise that physical therapists say makes the biggest difference for people who can't stand up. Because for a lot of older adults, the glutes have essentially gone to sleep. The brain sends the signal to fire them and nothing much happens. This exercise reestablishes that brain-to-muscle connection. It's not about strength yet. It's about waking up. Do these 3 exercises every day for 7 days. That's week 1. Most people will feel a little soreness in the thighs by day 2 or 3. That's normal. That's actually great. It means the muscles are responding. Week 2. This is where it starts getting interesting. Everything from week 1 stays. But now we add 2 new exercises and we make one change to the existing ones. The change. Seated marching now gets a 3-second hold at the top. Lift the knee, hold it up for 3 seconds, then lower it. This is harder than it sounds. That 3-second hold forces the quad to actually sustain a contraction instead of just bouncing up and down. Some people will find that their legs start shaking during the hold. Totally normal. That's the muscle figuring out how to work again. New exercise 1. The sit to tall. This is a partial stand. Sit at the front edge of the chair. Feet flat, about hip width apart. Lean the chest forward, nose over toes. And that's the cue. And push through the heels to lift the butt just a few inches off the seat. Not standing all the way up. Just hovering. Hold for 2 or 3 seconds, then sit back down slowly. This is the money move. This is literally practicing the hardest part of standing up. That first few inches where the body has to generate the most force. A lot of people fail at standing up not because they're weak overall, but because they can't get through those first 3 inches. So we train exactly that. Start with 5 reps. If that's too hard, start with 3. If somebody can't do it at all without using their hands, that's fine. Use the hands for week 2, with the goal of needing them less by week 3. New exercise 2. Wall push. Stand facing a wall about arm's length away. Place both palms on the wall at shoulder height. Now lean in slowly, bending the elbows, then push back to standing. It's basically a push-up against a wall. And wait, why push-ups in a video about standing up from a chair? Because standing up isn't just legs. When somebody pushes off from a chair, the arms and chest are involved. The core has to stabilize. The whole upper body plays a role. Wall pushes strengthen the chest, shoulders, and arms, while also forcing the core to engage. Plus, they're done standing, which means the legs are working too as stabilizers. 10 reps, twice a day. So week 2 is seated, marching with holds, heel raises, meaning glute squeezes, sit to tall partial stands, and wall pushes. Still about 8 to 10 minutes total. Still twice a day if possible, but even once a day will produce results. Week 3. This is usually when people start texting their kids about it. Not joking. This is the week where we hear, not from us personally, obviously, but physical therapists report this, that patients start saying things like, I stood up from the dinner table without thinking about it. Or, I got out of the car and didn't need to grab the door. It's week 3, because that's roughly how long it takes for the neuromuscular system to start adapting. The muscles aren't dramatically bigger yet. That takes months. But the brain-to-muscle connection is sharper. The body is remembering how to recruit those fibers efficiently. In week 3, the sit-to-tall becomes a full sit-to-stand, starting from the front edge of the chair. Lean forward, nose over toes. Push through the heels, and stand all the way up. Then, and this is the important part, sit back down slowly, taking 3 to 4 full seconds to lower back into the chair. That slow lowering is called an eccentric contraction, and it builds strength faster than the standing up part does. Kind of counterintuitive, but the research on this is really clear. Start with 5 full sit-to-stands. Rest a minute. Do 5 more. If somebody can only do 3, that's fine. 3 is great. 3 is infinitely more than 0. We also add a new exercise in week 3, the counter-supported squat. Stand behind a kitchen counter or a heavy table. Hold the edge for balance. Now squat down a few inches, not deep, just a partial squat, and stand back up. The hands are there for balance, not for pulling. The legs do the work. This is the first time in the plan that the exercise looks like what a younger person might do in a gym. And that's on purpose. By week 3, the body is ready for it. Trying to do squats in week 1 would have been miserable and possibly dangerous. Now it's challenging, but doable. 10 counter squats. Rest. 10 more. Everything else from weeks 1 and 2 stays, but the reps increase slightly. Marching goes to 20 per leg with the hold. Heel raises go to 25. Glute squeezes hold for 8 seconds instead of 5. Week 4. The Independence Week. This is where the plan shifts from building strength to building confidence. The main exercise for week 4 is the low surface sit-to-stand. Up until now, we've been using a regular dining chair or kitchen chair. Those are usually about 17 or 18 inches high. This week, if possible, try using something lower. A couch. A low ottoman. Even a stack of firm cushions on the floor if somebody's feeling ambitious. Why? Because the lower the surface, the more the muscles have to work to stand up. And a regular couch is usually around 15 inches, which is exactly where most people struggle. Training on the actual surface that's causing problems is the most effective way to solve the problem. Start with 3 sit-to-stands from the lower surface. Use hands for support if needed. The goal by the end of week 4 is to do 5 without hands. Some people get there, some don't. Both are fine. The point is, progress, not perfection. Week 4 also adds one last exercise, the stand and hold. Stand up from the chair and just stand there. Feet together, arms at the sides, for 30 seconds. Then a minute if possible. Again, sounds almost too simple. But standing still with feet together requires constant tiny adjustments from the ankles, knees, hips, and core. It's balance training disguised as doing nothing. And better balance means more confidence, which means more movement, which means more strength, which means standing up gets even easier. That's the spiral, going the right direction for once. So to recap the whole thing. Week 1, seated marching, heel raises, glute squeezes. Wake up the muscles. Week 2, add marching holds, sit-to-tall partial stands, wall pushes. Start building strength. Week 3, full sit-to-stands with slow lowering, counter squats, real functional strength. Week 4, low surface sit-to-stands, stand and hold balance, build confidence on the surfaces that actually matter. 8 to 10 minutes a day. No equipment, just a chair and a wall and a kitchen counter. Now, a few things we want to mention, because we'd feel bad if we didn't. 1. The first few days might be discouraging, especially for somebody who used to be active. Doing seated marches and butt squeezes can feel like, is this even doing anything? Yes, it is. The body needs the on-ramp. Skipping ahead to week 3 exercises on day 1 is how people get hurt and quit. Trust the process. We know that sounds like a motivational poster, but it's actually just good biomechanics. 2. Some soreness is normal. especially in the thighs and butt. That means it's working. Oh, but sharp pain, particularly in the knees, hips, or lower back, is not normal. If something hurts in a sharp or sudden way, stop that specific exercise and talk to a doctor. This plan is designed to be gentle, but every body is different. 3. The bathroom thing. We weren't sure whether to include this, but it's actually one of the biggest unspoken motivators for this kind of training. A lot of seniors who can't get up from a low chair also struggle to get up from the toilet. That's a sentence nobody wants to read, but it's reality for millions of people. And it's often the thing that triggers the conversation about whether somebody can keep living independently. This plan directly addresses that. The toilet is usually about 15 inches high, almost exactly the same as a low couch. If somebody can stand up from a low couch without hands by week 4, they can get off the toilet without help. That's not a small thing. For a lot of people, that's everything. 4. This works for people who are starting from very different places. If somebody can already stand up from a regular chair but struggles with low couches and car seats, they might breeze through weeks 1 and 2 and really benefit from weeks 3 and 4. If somebody can barely stand up from a dining chair even with hands, week 1 might take 2 weeks instead of 1. That's completely fine. It's a framework, not a treadmill. Go at whatever speed keeps it sustainable. And 5, this is maybe the most important thing. Somebody watching this should tell one other person they're doing it. Not post it on Facebook. Just tell their spouse, or their kid, or their neighbor. Because having one person who knows about it and checks in, "Hey Mom, how's the chair thing going?" makes it dramatically more likely that somebody sticks with it past the first week. That's not opinion. That's what the adherence research shows over and over. Social accountability, even casual, even just one person, is the #1 predictor of whether somebody follows through on a home exercise program. All right, last thing. We want to share something that a physical therapist told us when we were putting this video together. She said the saddest thing she sees in her practice isn't somebody who can't stand up from a chair. It's somebody who stopped trying. They rearrange their whole life around the problem. They only sit in high chairs. They avoid their friend's house because the couch is too low. They stop going to the movies because the seats are too deep. They stop going to church because the pews are too low, and they don't want people to see them struggle. Their world gets smaller. Not because of disease, not because of pain, because of a few muscles that stop doing their job. And those muscles can come back. At 65, at 75, at 85. Muscle responds to training at any age. And that's not feel-good talk. That's established exercise science. The body adapts, always. It just needs to be asked. So if you know someone whose world is getting smaller because of something as fixable as this, send them this video. Don't make a big deal about it. Just text it to them. "Hey, saw this and thought of you," is enough. Sometimes that one text is the thing that changes somebody's next 10 years. Subscribe if you want more like this. We're building something here for people who deserve better health information than what the internet usually gives them. Thanks for watching. And if you're about to try that seated march for the first time tonight, good for you. Seriously. Day 1 is the hardest one. Everything after that gets better.